Yes, jubilation, excitement. The international break is coming to a close and we can now resume the proper football. Hello, welcome to the All Things Arsenal podcast. We'll be talking about all things Arsenal. Thank goodness that the international break is over. I can honestly say I didn't watch a single second of the internationals. I just wasn't interested. Yes, it is the World Cup qualifiers, but number one, really you expect England to qualify anyway, especially with the countries in their group, with all due respect. And number two, it's just so boring. Honestly, it's just so boring watching that. I was listening to Talk Sport. I don't know if anyone else listens to Talk Sport that watches these podcasts, but I listened to some guy on there called Trevor Sinclair. He reckons that Gareth Southgate would be a good fit for the likes of Leeds United and Newcastle. And honestly, that guy is just the most clueless guy ever. I mean, Newcastle are now backed by a billionaire, and Leeds United, are you saying that Gareth Southgate is tactically better than Marcelo Bielsa? Give me a rest. I mean, when Gareth Southgate was first appointed, I didn't expect anything from him, but he's exceeded my expectations of him, getting to the World Cup semi-finals and being in the final in the Euros. But I just can't help but think yes, it is due to him in a way because he's kind of got those players together. The dressing room atmosphere seems to be good because of him. I think he's kind of brought those players closer to each other than maybe we've seen in recent England teams or England teams in the past where they kind of care more and play more for their club than they do the country. I think he's made playing for England a privilege again and they actually try for England. However, with regards to being a tactically good manager and being experienced, I just think there's so many better managers out there. With the international managers, is there really any good international managers? Gareth Southgate, I can't see him getting a job in the top six or the supposed big six clubs in the Premier League. Newcastle, I mean, maybe once upon a time, but with a billionaire owner, you'd probably say that they'd be looking at other options than Gareth Southgate, and there's no way that he's better than Bielsa, not tactically. I mean, like I say, he's good at creating a good atmosphere, but I think in terms of his in-game management and, his tactics, I don't think it's down to him. I think it's down to the individuals that we've got on the pitch. But anyways, that's not why we're making the podcast today. We're talking about Arsenal. And we're just having a review on the season so far, as there's nothing else really to talk about, just analysing and just going over the 7 first Premier League games we've had this season. But I do want to talk about the Carabao Cup as well, because that, I feel, is important to our season too. So we look at our first 7 games. We lost the first 3 to Brentford, 2-0 away from home. Chelsea 2-0 at the Emirates and 5-0 at the Etihad. We got smashed by Manchester City. Looking back on those first 3 games, after those first 3 games, I was really hoping that Arteta would get the sack because I didn't feel that the results would get better and the performances would get worse. And, I was at a real low at that point because we were bottom of the Premier League. We had a really bad goal difference. I don't think we hadn't scored a goal. I just couldn't see it getting any better. But looking back at it now, you have to probably look at Chelsea and Man City in particular and just say, you know what, Chelsea, they're the Champions League champions, Manchester City are the Premier League champions. A lot of teams are going to lose to those teams this season, and we happen to be one of them as well. So you kind of almost have to write those games off and just say, actually, they're just better than us, unfortunately, at this point. The Brentford game, I felt really deflated when we lost that because I just couldn't believe that we'd lost to a team that had been promoted from the Championship and just how easy we made it for them. But I have to say, credit to Brentford because I have, kept an eye on them since then and they've really impressed me. They really have been a breath of fresh air in the Premier League. I think they've only lost 1 game. They've held Liverpool to a 3-3 draw. They beat West Ham away. So, I mean, they've gone on. They beat Wolves away too. They have really impressed me. They've got some good results. I think they've got a good squad of players, a good manager. So maybe, well, in fact, yes, I did underestimate them. I thought that they'd probably be. I didn't think they would go down, but I thought they'd be certainly flirting with relegation. But at the minute, they're in the top half. They're looking good. So I think that loss to Brentford doesn't look as bad as what it was at the time. After international break, the previous international break, I felt that Arteta had to go on a run of results, because if he hadn't gone on a run of results, then I think I don't know if he still would be the manager now. If he still was, he'd be under immense pressure. But I think having these results has really turned it around for him. So just to clarify, we beat Norwich at the Emirates 1-0. In my opinion, if he'd lost that game, I think he should have been sacked that evening. We beat Burnley at Turf Moor 1-0, and we really grinded that result out. We then smashed Spurs to pieces at the Emirates 3-1 in the North London derby, and followed that with a 0-0 draw away from home at Brighton, who are in form. So looking at those 4 games, we got 10 points out of possible 12, 3 wins, 1 draw, 0 defeats, and only 1 goal conceded in those 4 games. So there has been a big improvement, I have to say. And, people are saying, oh, well, you beat Norwich, Burnley, who you should expect to beat, Spurs, who were not in form at the time. You can only beat what's in front of you. We got 9 points in those 3 games, so I was really pleased with the response to the first 3 games of the season. And even the draw away at Brighton, I mean, I know we got outplayed, but sometimes you go away to teams in the Premier League and you just kind of have to accept, you know what, it was a bad day, we take a point, we move on. We kept the clean sheet as well, which is very important. And sometimes you will have off days. It's just, it's inevitable that will happen in the Premier League with all the teams that you've got now. It's such a competitive league, and I remember back years ago where you look at some games and think, yeah, that's 3 points, that's 3 points, that's 3 points. Now it's not like that. There's maybe 1 or 2 you might look at home and think, yeah, we should get 3 points. But apart from that, you look at all the away games, you think, there's not a lot of games that are guaranteed 3-pointers. I think a lot of them now are tough games away to go to. So I think overall 3 wins, 1 draw, 3 losses. We sit 11th in the Premier League. We're not too far behind the European spots either. So we are in a decent position. I mean, we're in a much better position now than what we were in the last international break. And I think Arteta deserves big credit for that. I did want him out at one point, and, I didn't think he was the right man for the job at one point. But he has really recovered well, and he's got the players behind him seemingly. And I feel like he knows what his best team is as well, which I think helps. I feel that he has got a good group of players here. I think he's got some really good young talents, particularly Saka, Smith Rowe. Really important players for us. Players I feel that we depend on too much at times, but nevertheless they are very important players for us. The only thing that I am thinking of is where Martinelli fits in all of this, because he seemed like he was on fire not a few years ago. Then obviously he got that horrific injury that put him on the sidelines for a little while. And at the very start of when he was coming back from injury, I can understand Arteta's reluctance to get him straight back in the mix of things. I could understand him maybe taking it a bit easy just in case he were to get injured again. But it feels that, well, he is 100% fit. He has been for a little while. And why is he not getting game time at all? It just, I know he's getting a run out in the Carabao Cup and things like that, but I feel that he should be getting minutes in the Premier League, and I feel like he's an important player for us because he's got huge potential and he's got all the attributes that you would want. He's quick, he presses, he works really hard, he's aggressive, he wants to win, he asks for the ball. He's a really brave player, very talented, young, And I feel that Martinelli is a team that we should be building around. And I'm not sure. I mean, Arteta knows better than I do. You know, Arteta sees Martinelli in training. He knows where he is in terms of, you know, match sharpness, fitness, etc. But the Martinelli that I watched not long ago, I mean, he was looking very confident. You know, like he belonged in the Premier League, and he's just not really featuring at the moment. And I look at Aubameyang, I look at Lacazette, players that are a bit older, players that don't really press, players that can't finish their dinner sometimes. You know, I don't know why Martinelli isn't getting a nod ahead of these kind of players. And when you consider Arsenal in full gear, a bit like how we played against Spurs, is, you know, we press high. We make it difficult for teams to come out against us. And from what I saw in that game and what I've seen maybe recently in some other games, is you've got Saka, you've got Smith Rowe, you've got Odegaard, and those players will make it uncomfortable for the opposition. They'll press, they're quick players, they're really good on the ball, really composed, they can all score, all get assists. But the one thing I feel that we lack is that pressing forwards, that pressing striker. I don't think Aubameyang can do that anymore. Not to the level that we would need. Lacazette isn't that kind of player. He doesn't press. He's very good at backing into players and getting other players involved in the game. But I just feel like Lacazette, Aubameyang, good players, but I feel like they both lost their mojo. And Martinelli is someone that can press and someone who I think would fit really well with, you know, the attacking options behind him of Odegaard playing number 10, Saka and Smith Rowe on the wings, Martinelli as a central forward. He says as well that he's been training to be a centre forward, play as a striker. And I just feel like those four attacking players combined would cause a lot of teams problems and would really, you know, get some results for us, get goals. And I would like to see that. Whether it's planned or not, whether it's coming, whether Arteta is building towards that, I'm not sure. But I can't see us competing for things seriously if we've got Aubameyang and Lacazette up front, because I feel like those players are just not good enough at a certain level anymore. So when you assess the season so far, I would say that at the moment it's been average, if I'm being honest. And whilst we're not too far behind where I think we should be competing for, I think for us it is a case of top six, looking to get back into Europe, but preferably the Europa League. You know, I think we could probably win the Europa Conference League, but realistically, no one really wants to be in that competition. You want to be in the Europa League because it's a bigger competition, there's more money, and it's another route that you can take to get in the Champions League, and that's where we want to be, ultimately. I feel that at the minute we're too far behind the top four. Although, saying that, we're 4 points behind fourth place, but I can't see us finishing past Man United. I just can't see it. I know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't doing that great, but I think ultimately they will finish ahead of us. You're looking at top six. We're not far behind top six. We're 4 points off top six. And I feel that if we're competing for top six, and if we do get top six, then I think Arteta still should be in the job, because he hopefully is building something with these younger players and develops them, get better, and the performances get better. But ultimately, it's a results business, and I feel that if he doesn't qualify for the Europa League, as a minimum, I can't see how he can continue, because he hasn't progressed enough with this team. It was meant to be sort of like a long-term plan, but this is the important part of it, was the transition, then building back towards being the Europa League, then top four. But if we're not even getting to Europe for 2 years straight, then what is the process? How long is it going to take? And will Arteta ever be able to take us to where we want to be? And if you're out of Europe for 2 seasons, really, I think you're thinking probably not, because he's been backed by the board. He's had £130 million worth of players coming in, so he can't say that he's not been backed, because he has. If he doesn't get European football this season, then for me, I think it's time for him to go. Another thing for Arteta to consider as well is the Carabao Cup, a competition that he is still in. We are still in. We're in the fourth round with Leeds United at home coming up in the fourth round. And this is a trophy that I think has more importance this season because of us not having European football. And how do I say, it's not that the Carabao Cup is enough for us. I think if Arteta doesn't, because what it is that with the Carabao Cup, if you do win it, then you do qualify for the Europa Conference League, the playoff round. So he would technically kind of qualify for Europe if he wins it. But I just feel that if we didn't get top six, if we did finish, say 7th, 8th, 9th, wherever it may be, if he does win the Carabao Cup, then is it enough for me personally? No, probably not. But if he does win the League Cup, then again, it's another trophy that he's won. Albeit it's not the biggest one, it's not the one that everybody really wants to win. But it does make his argument more compelling for being the Arsenal manager going forward, because actually he's still bringing trophies in, and it's trophy that maybe we can take advantage of winning this season, because other big clubs might not take it as seriously because of European competitions that they're in. So it's a day out at Wembley. I'm not looking down on the Carabao Cup because I would like to win it. But I just feel that it's a competition we should take seriously. But if he were to win it and also get top six, then actually it's been a really good season, in my opinion. But if he doesn't finish in the top six and wins the Carabao Cup, then I don't know if it is enough. Although it would be great to win it, is winning the Carabao Cup enough for him to carry on as manager if we haven't got a top six? Let me know in the comment section what you think. But for me personally, no, it's not enough. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. I hope you all enjoyed it. And I can't wait for Arsenal to come back. I feel like they've been gone for a long, long time. Please like, please subscribe, please comment. And I'll speak to you all very soon. Take care. Come on, Arsenal.